Back to you a bit.
I can't see if it's in the middle.
About right.
Bit more in. Keep going. Yeah. Welcome folks to the main episode that we've been waiting for quite a while here on TA Outdoors. I've got Dad with me. We're back, Dad. We're building again. Yeah, it's we've done a lot of walking with the wheelbarrow and carrying stuff in. Just the basics really, but obviously Ryan in the previous episode had cut these nice beams that were about 9 feet long, and he'd done them as square as he could with the mill. Now they're not perfectly square, so naturally this is going to be a little bit out in some areas, just where they're not at a perfect right angle.
It's rustic.
But it's a rustic cabin. It's going to basically be a sort of nature cabin.
Bird watching.
What we call them in the UK, I don't know what you guys call them where you are, but we call them a bird hide.
Bird
really.
hide.
It's a bird hide. I don't know where you're from, what you call them, but I've probably put in the title something like nature cabin or something. But essentially, what it is
photography.
Yeah, where we can. It's almost a glorified shed where we can look out into the woods. We're going to have an entrance this side here as we walk in, and we're going to be able to look out that way. I'll show you the view in a minute into the woods. And then we're going to be able to have a window and maybe a door at the back and look out that way and have a nice view of the fields. It's basically a bird hide, but I don't know what you guys call it where you're from, so I'd probably call it...
Not a shooting bird hide.
No.
You guys in America.
It's a bird watching... Yeah,
it's not like, that type of hide.
It's like a bird watching hide, nature cabin, something like that. Essentially, it's a place where me and my family can come, spend a bit of time here amongst nature. I mean, if we stop talking...
No work gets done.
But you can hear the birds. Right, so spring's coming, all the garlic and the wild garlic's coming up, the bluebells are about to come up. It's a really nice time of year, and it's a great time of year to be able to watch birds and just be amongst nature. So that's what this is about. This is not a cabin to be lived in, okay? This is not going to be a domestic house. This is literally just for us to come, spend a bit of time in, watch some nature, make some films, and just enjoy. And use, obviously, all that wood that Ryan has helped process up from that one ash tree. We're trying to use as much of it as possible. So where we're at now is foundation. This is foundation day. That's what we're on. We've been, guess what, Dad? 5 years since since the pallet wood cabin.
Yeah, that's amazing.
5 years ago, we built the pallet wood cabin, and it's now this is the closest structure to what we sort of built there.
Still standing. If everybody said it'll rot out, no.
Yeah.
Termites, no. It's still standing.
Now we didn't do a great foundation on that, admittedly. But like Dad says, it's still standing.
Yeah.
Again, this is not the best foundation we could do. We're not doing it on concrete, so I didn't want to really bring concrete in and start bringing too much man-made. You know, this is man-made, obviously, the wood. But in terms of that chemical type stuff, I didn't really want to bring too much of it in. So we had some spare wood. Some of you might say we've got the joists in. Some of you will notice that they're not treated. That's because we've had spare wood left over from projects and stuff, and why waste it? It wasn't free at the time, but it was cheap when we bought it. Lumber now is really expensive, so we're using that. It's raised quite a bit off the ground, so it shouldn't be affected too much. It will be affected, but it's not going to be affected too much. And we've got some kind of, well, it's not waterproof, the flooring here, obviously, but it's going to work for what its purpose is. So I'll just run you through quickly what we've done. The foundation itself is raised up on large oak logs and ash logs. I appreciate these should be buried in the ground to stop any kind of movement over time, but it is what it is. I didn't want to have to do any too much digging. This is not going to be lived in, this cabin. It's just going to be for nature, and if it leans in time, it'll add to the character. But we're happy with where we're at, because it's been really difficult actually getting some of these really hard ash posts in. And now we're on to the flooring, which is basically just 18mm moisture resistant flooring. Obviously we need to be getting a roof on this fairly quickly, but we're going to keep it covered so it stays dry. Thankfully today, when we put in all this, the noggins and the floor joists was nice and dry, but the other day when I was here, it was absolutely tipping down, which meant I got soaked. But these ash beams can take that because they're hardwood, and it's been a tree, it's been outside all this time, so it can take it, whereas the joists wouldn't have been good. So we're just leveling up. Obviously the flooring's not perfectly matching. It's tongue and groove style almost, isn't it, Dad?
It was proper floorboard.
So
18mm
yeah,
flooring.
so we're just going to go with it, and we're going to have to kind of stagger it and do some offcuts in the corners, but the majority of it will be really solid. I mean, that base is so solid, isn't it?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Once you put the noggins in, that locks it all up together.
Did you ever think you'd be back in the woods doing more building, Dad?
What shocked me most, I had to go to the local hardware store and purchase new nails. What's that about?
I can see you sweating, Dad.
Is that a fashion thing nowadays, buying new nails? Mind you, we've used a few of mine, haven't we? We've bent a few rusty 4-inches.
Rusty ones.
Yeah,
I could almost hear your wallet quivering from here, Dad.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. We are recycling where we can with the nails. Want it to be solid, though.
Want it to be dry, won't it? That's
well, exactly.
It will be dry. Once you get the, obviously imagine the lean-to on top, the bird hide bit on top.
Yeah.
It's going to be bone dry inside eventually, but we need to get this on and then cover it over and then start away on
exactly,
the structure.
Yeah. And, I mean, look at that view. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Over there.
So that's the view that way. And then this way in the woods, this will be the woodland view. Look at that, amongst all that garlic. Beautiful. Double view, woodland and field. That line, 0, look,
Sure.
0, where the 0 degrees is, that line is the straight, yeah, trust me. Keep that one straight.
Perfect.
That's working a bit too good for us. Right, should we get this?
Fire screws in it.
Is it going under or over? It's going over.
This goes like that.
Yeah, yeah.
This
Right,
goes...
are you flush there?
No, we'll come down a bit there. That's flush, yeah. I forgot the air defenders!
It is really loud, that.
Why did I forget them?
What's that?
How did I forget them?
What's that?
The air defenders. That's perfect, right.
Perfect, Graham, pulling them perfect.
Yeah, it's not often they go together. I haven't been to this end yet. Pencil.
Well, that is it. We're going to call it a day. We've only really done 3/4 of a day. Well, I've actually done a few. I was here a couple of days ago just trying to get the actual framework in. What do you think, Dad? We're getting there, aren't we?
It's getting there. We're just running out of daylight. You see the sun's going down over there.
But it's nice because the daylight hours are getting longer now, so we're able to work a little bit later. But yeah, we're pleased with it so far. I'll probably put down the dimensions of what we do here when we've almost finished it. It's probably a bit easier. And then that, because I know I usually get questions of people saying, you know,
how big is it?
How big is it?
Yeah.
What did you do? What were your measurements? What type of wood did you use? What did you use here? Yeah, I'll try and put that in a description later down the line. But we really appreciate you guys following the series. It's nice to finally be able to start making something from what we've been processing up in the wood down by where the big ash tree was. So thank you to all of you who have been following along on the journey. If you're excited for the next episode, hit the subscribe button and like the video if you enjoyed it, and also follow the Woodland Life playlist where I've got all the videos that are backlogged basically of what I've been doing here up in the woods. And you can catch up from episode 1 and work all the way up to where we are here, which is probably episode 8, I think. Also check out Dad's channel, TA Fishing. There's a link in the description below. We really appreciate you watching this, and we can't wait to make some more videos here and actually get a fire going, get a nice fire pit set up, cook up some good food, and just actually enjoy the shelter that we build. So
Sounds good to me.
it does, doesn't it? Thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.